This is not a natural high wall. I struggle being able to recognize between the two from time to time, because you could see in a lot of areas, you know, you'll come across areas like this that are naturally formed, but above this, you have a man-made road. And then this was actually, all this down in here below this was bench. Probably some old mining operation. You look back in here, and again, this is not a cave. That's just an old coal seam, and that seam runs all the way up through here. So I don't know if they've tried to extract that seam, or if somewhere down here, as you go on along, maybe there were auger holes. I don't know, but you can see all the rock. There's a ton of rock right through here. It's just old outcrop that's been laid out. Kind of puts you in mind of, like, you know, South American and even some Indonesian type ruins, you know. These monoliths and sculptures and statues they have in these other places, except there's no art to it, you know, to these. That's, you know, not carving, that's natural wiring. And same here. I would assume, that's a lot of assumptions, I know, but I would assume that this is more from water erosion that gave that to that. Now, was that there before the rock was taken down? I don't know. I would assume so, because I would assume these rock had not been here that long. You look at the chunks of coal and stuff up in behind there. You get up under this. Like I said, that's a lot like, say, a statue or a monolith or something from somewhere else, just without the art of it. But you know, those monoliths and those statues have some sort of cultural significance. Well, an area like this would have cultural significance too, even if it's not, you know, the most beautiful thing, and even if it wasn't necessarily a good decision to do what they've done in a lot of areas in these mountains and the way that they've done it. It's representative of the culture here of that time and how these people survived and lived and made it. And that's still somewhat true today. There's an active mine just right over there, and at some point this may all be active mine here on this property again too. You never know. I always loved spots like this as a little kid, and I still do. But as a kid, like, you know, I loved Indiana Jones and any type of adventure style movie, and, you know, would love right now, if my job was, you know, in archaeology or even geology, to be out in nature and study these things. But as a kid, you know, to me this was no different than something from some great adventure movie, and I would play in these hills and stuff, and it's one of the, you know, the highlights of my childhood, or finding things like this. And that's the cool thing about Eastern Kentucky, is there's tons of places like this, whether they be man-made, natural, what have you. They're amazing, and I've seen a lot of them, and that's a lot of why I've started doing some of this stuff on this page. Is I regret not documenting those. I regret the fact that there's these places I've seen that I may not go back to again, and that I don't have anything myself to show for it, to show for the time and the experience there. But also, you know, it may be a place that maybe they come through and mine it, and maybe nobody ever sees it again. And, you know, if I had documented it, you know, at least there'd have been that opportunity for someone to see it. And so I want to document as many of those places as I can. Now, this area here, the further you go out this way, the more you come into same type of deal, high wall behind you and these cool looking rocks that have fell off as you go. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to head out that way and see what else we can find. So off we go into the jungle. Maybe not quite jungle, but for Eastern Kentucky, it's pretty close. And actually, you know, you look at people like the early settlers that came in here, most of the forest of eastern Kentucky were thick as a jungle and very hard to get through. You know, it's a testament to how much material, trees and stuff were removed when you look at our forests today in the way that they are, because that's really not the way that they should be. Now this, obviously, it's just all growth from where this had been cut out, I would say, at one time, much of it, and then it's grown back like this. But I mean, again, like, this is straight up Indiana Jones stuff. Now, I am really close to West Virginia border, in a lot of rocks. This is definitely rattlesnake territory. Definitely a good time of year to come across one. Well, no time's a good time, but it's definitely possible to come across one at this point in time. I'd really like to not. It's early in the morning, it's still cool. Sun's trying to peek out right there, but the massive size of these rocks that have fallen through here, you know, like I said, the type of area this creates, you know, as a kid, my imagination run wild. As an adult, it still does. I couldn't help it as a kid to think that something like this was in some far-off jungle, you know, that possibly, I'm looking for snakes right now, because I don't want to sneak up on one while I'm talking to you, but that possibly, you know, some great culture, this is a tough climb right here, some long forgotten great culture had been in this area. This is the ruins to whatever temples and civilization they had. And it's been a long time thinking like that as a kid. And I think it kind of formed the fascination I have with the outdoors and with doing stuff like this. Now, these are ruins. It's not the ruins of some truly ancient civilization, but this is the ruins of industry. An industry not very well regulated. You see here, this is a slip that's come in. That area back in there has given way in the heavier rock that was overhanging probably at this point and had no support under it. Has dropped down. And like I said, in the ugliest places, you can find beauty. But in my imagination as a kid, this would have been an adventure that I wouldn't be able to help but try to go on. And a place I would have explored no differently than I'm exploring today. Eastern Kentucky is a beautiful place, and even its scars are beautiful at times. Now, out below me is a bench. Man-made like bench for a road. Probably 4,000 foot long. Somewhere there. Maybe a little longer. So this runs the full extent of that. All the way that way and all the way that way. And the bench is off to this side. Anything that's work site where somebody's done something like that, I try to not show it as much, because I don't know, you never know when people's gonna be weird about stuff. But again, in eastern Kentucky, or am I in the rainforest of South America, chasing down some golden idol, trying to solve the mystery of some long forgotten city? No, I'm not, but as a kid, I would have definitely played right here. Going back in there looking for treasure. Just treasure hunt all the time as a kid. Actually, I used to create with gold spray paint my own treasure and bury it. I was a weird kid. But it did foster a great love for the outdoors. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I know it's pretty new. It's not all outdoor stuff. I'm working on an independent documentary or two that I'm trying to get underway, working on a short film I'm trying to get done. I've got a couple podcasts. One, it's more of a comedy-based podcast called Here to Chew Bubblegum. I do it with my friend Goose. Find it anywhere you can find podcasts. I do a podcast called Talk Junkie. It's kind of like just like a therapy session for myself where I just sit and talk. And like I said, I've got this YouTube page. So like, subscribe, share, comment, let me know what you think. If you see something you think's cool or you just got a question, let me know.